wife cheated on me during a family visit, so I kicked her out. Now when I'm divorcing her, her family is begging me to take her back. I, 32 male, have been married to my wife Kate, 30 female, for 4 years, together for 9. Our relationship has been amazing, loving and supportive. We have good communication, hardly ever argue, and our bedroom life has gone from strength to strength over the years. We discussed cheating in the past and I was always clear that we would be over if it ever happened. Kate went home to visit her family last weekend, which was fairly normal. Before she left on the Friday night, we had a minor argument about keeping the house tidy, so our communication was limited on Saturday, but I knew she was going out to meet some friends at a bar. I trusted her 100%, so didn't think anything of it. Before I fell asleep, I texted her saying that I hope she had a nice night. When I woke up on Sunday morning, I had a missed call from Kate at 4 a.m, so I immediately called her to check if she was okay, but no answer. After a few hours, I tried again a few times, but still no answer. Around an hour later, I got a message saying she was fine and was driving back soon. Kate got home late afternoon and looked awful. She had clearly been crying, was not wearing any makeup, unusual for her, and looked like a shell of a person. I knew right away something was wrong, but she wouldn't let me hug her and would barely speak. I sat her down on the couch and made her some tea. I gently encouraged her to tell me what was wrong, and she burst into uncontrollable tears for at least 10 minutes while I was trying to comfort her. She then proceeded to tell me, stopping every few words, that she had slept with someone last night after the bar. At that moment, something in my brain broke. I can't describe it any other way. I immediately got up and jumped in my car and drove off. I went to a park and walked around it for about an hour. Kate was calling my phone constantly and I turned it off. When I got home, I grabbed 2 suitcases from the garage and went to our bedroom. I threw some of Kate's clothes and shoes into them and left them by the front door. Kate was lying on the floor in the living room, curled up into a ball sobbing. I called her best friend who lives nearby and told her that Kate needed a place to stay and a ride to her place, and that Kate could explain everything to her later. I told Kate I was leaving for an hour and that her friend was coming to pick her up. She grabbed onto my legs trying to stop me from leaving. When I returned home again, Kate was gone and so were the cases. On Monday, with a clearer head, I answered one of Kate's many calls and told her that I needed her to send me an email with as much details as possible of that night. And if she leaves anything out, there will be no hope of reconciliation. I received this email on Monday night but still haven't opened it. Since then, everyone has been trying to contact me, but I have just been working, exercising and sleeping. One of her friends turned up at my house with an attitude demanding an explanation. I told her to speak to Kate and close the door in her face. I have also been speaking to divorce lawyers, have moved money into separate accounts and blocked Kate and all of her friends on everything. Everything I have done since I found out seems like I have been on autopilot. I don't feel angry, upset or overly emotional. Just numb. Kate posted a note through the door yesterday asking me to meet tomorrow, but I'm conflicted. Should I meet her? Will it change anything? Is there any point in trying to reconcile? Is it normal to feel like a robot, and how do I snap out of this? Edit. Just to add that when I came home the first time, Kate confirmed it was consensual. She was drunk but knew what she was doing. Some relevant comments. It is normal. It's a self-defense mechanism. You have been hurt so deeply and completely you can't process the pain. When the dam breaks, it's going to awful. My heart breaks for you. Good luck, friend. Absolutely. When my ex told me she had cheated on me, I calmly said, then our marriage is over. She had her family pick her up and I consulted divorce attorneys. Didn't see it coming, but wasn't surprised with how she had been acting lately. Divorce took 9 months and she didn't show up at the divorce hearing. You will always doubt Kate going forward. Anything she tells you, you will question. You will wonder where she is and if she's cheating again. On the positive, she confessed and told you immediately afterwards, which indicates that it wasn't planned and that she did want to be honest with you and work through it. If you can live with that, only you can decide. You're doing the right things, OP. There is no excuse to cheat. You did nothing wrong. It's not your fault. Do not feel guilty. You deserve better. Alcohol can't make you cheat. It just makes it easier to do what's already on your mind. Cheating is never a mistake, but it is a bad decision. Cheating is a choice. She wanted to do it. She wanted to throw away everything you guys had together. I'd say you are 100% doing the right thing. You'd better tell both sides of your family, mutual friends. Now, do it now, before you are painted as the idiot first. Up to you how you take it from here. But, if it's this easy for her to cheat, if you stuck it out, how long till she did it again? And this is just a simple ONS. Hard to say which is worse, a ONS or long drawn-out emotional connection culminating in a PA. But this speaks to her incredible selfishness. Be very careful. Do whatever your lawyer says. And tell everyone, not to be an idiot, but to maintain control of the narrative. May already be too late there, OP. Update. After reading your comments, I decided to meet with Kate but not read the email. Kate came to the house yesterday, and when I opened the door she looked terrible. She tried to hug me and started mumbling apologies, but I stopped her and we sat down to talk. I started by telling Kate that I would be recording the audio of the conversation and she agreed. I then asked her to explain what happened and told her that I haven't read the email she sent. Kate said she had been at the bar with two friends I know and like both of them, and told me what she had to drink. I was surprised at how little she drank because it was the same amount we would normally drink when going for dinner, a few glasses of wine and a cocktail. She admitted she was only slightly tipsy. One of her friends, Sarah, has a younger brother, Max, 27 male, who came to pick them up around midnight. It's a running joke in their group that Max has had major crush on Kate since high school, and I had heard them joke about this. The four of them went to get some food and Max then dropped each one off until it was just him and Kate. Kate said she didn't want him to drive the 20 minutes to her parents' place after working all day, so would just order an Uber from his apartment. She went into his apartment to order the Uber but couldn't get one. Max suggested she should crash in his bed and he would take the sofa. He would then drop her off in the morning. Kate refused and continued to try to find an Uber. They were sitting on Max's bed and he kissed her. She kissed him back and they ended up having sex. She confirmed again that it was consensual. After that she broke down crying from guilt and Max took her home. She cried for another hour, then tried to call me to tell me what she had done. We had to stop a number of times because Kate kept breaking down and crying hysterically. She told me it was a huge mistake. She got caught up in the moment. It was terrible. She only loves me, blah blah blah. After she was done, I told her that her story didn't make sense, but it didn't matter at this stage because I was done. This caused another breakdown. I told her I was going to continue with the divorce preparations, but for the next month we would be separated with no contact. I also told her that we would both remain faithful, would get a full STD panel, and she would tell our mutual friends and family what happened. If she sticks to these conditions, I would be willing to meet again to see if there was any way forward other than divorce. She enthusiastically agreed to this but made it clear that she did not expect me to stay faithful to her. I know many of you will criticize this decision, but I need to be sure that divorce is the right option after I have had time to process everything that has happened. I am still 99% sure that is where we are heading, but I need to be 100% certain. Edit. Just to clarify, because many of you seem to be focusing on this point. I've had mutual friends and my wife's family send me nasty messages, turn up at my house, etc. Because according to Kate, I kicked her out over an argument. My request was that Kate tells them it's because she has been unfaithful, not a full rundown of everything that happened. TLDR. Heard the story, don't believe it, but will slow down the divorce process to see if there is any hope for the future. Some comments. OP. It doesn't make any sense about her being the last one dropping off, and the whole Uber story is just a smoke screen to WW and AP just making love because she wanted it. And the whole during sex breaking down then continuing is just BS. Recommend contacting Sarah for her story. She may or may not give you anything more due to your WW may have got their stories straight. Or contact the other friend, which will probably provide a more realistic truth. I'll bet you'll find the AP was there the whole time and your WW has something other than remorse compelling her to tell you. Who knows, maybe her parents or Sarah said they'd tell you if she didn't. Bottom line, you'll never trust her again, and rightfully so. What has your WW promised you? Blocking her AP, his sister. What's the likelihood that'll happen? Recommend reviewing the phone records to see how many times she's contacted her AP or his sister before and after cheating. Your WW made so many decisions that night to cheat, which is why you'd be miserable the rest of your marriage staying with someone who will cheat on you. I echo what the others have said about the storyline not making sense. I'm a male, but had enough ONSs in my single years to be familiar with the dynamic. There is a buildup of sensual tension leading up to ONS sex. It's something that both participants recognize, foster, and plunge into. The love-making began even before Max picked them up at the bar. Your WW and Max have felt electricity long before that. This alone is okay, even normal. A person doesn't go through life without feeling a tingle for somebody who is not his, her spouse. The appropriate response is to avoid any sequence that could lead to a teat-a-teat, alone at night on a private bed while slightly tipsy. It's no coincidence that your WW ended up there. She was, at the very least, playing with fire. Getting picked up by Max, as opposed to a group you were from the bar, that was no coincidence. Being the last one in the car with Max, after everybody else was dropped off, that was no coincidence. Your WW generously relieving Max of the need to drive her 20 minutes to her parents' house, where the default meant that she was alone in his apartment with him. That was no coincidence. Finally, I would remind you that one of the shortest and easiest words in the English language is no. Women are extremely conscious of these things. A woman doesn't end up alone on a man's bed after an evening of a few drinks if she isn't at least serious considering screwing him. But even at that point, she could have said no. Crossing that line of physicality is a huge decision for most married people. A lot of married people who think of cheating balk at that point. Their marital vows and the hurt face of their betrayed spouse are large in their consciousness. They check their swing, spend an awkward night alone on the couch, and return home feeling as if they've dodged a bullet. Your WW didn't end up having sex with Max. She decided to make love with him. She chose to do so. She did it because she wanted to. Perhaps after it was done she felt like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. That piece is impossible for us to advise you on. That ephemeral matter of the heart. But at least go into it with open eyes. Update. A few things have happened in the last week, so I thought I would make an update post if anyone is interested. First of all, I'm not in robot mode anymore. I have been having bursts of intense feelings of anger and betrayal but have been keeping busy with work and exercise. My friends have also been great since they found out and have been dragging me out of the house to hang out. I decided to read the email and wish I hadn't. The story Kate told in the email was mostly the same, but there was no mention of going into Max's apartment to order an Uber. There were also pretty explicit details of what they did, for how long, and that they had apparently used a protection. I will never be able to forget this description. Many people who were originally criticizing me for kicking Kate out of the house have now apologized, but they can keep it. Kate's parents reached out to apologize and I spoke to them because we had a good relationship before all of this. They begged me to try to work it out but said they understood if I decided to get divorced. I didn't commit to either option. Kate's other friend, that was there that night, contacted me to tell me her side of the story. It mostly matched up, bar food home. She said Kate could stay over at her house, but she refused, saying she was driving home early the next morning. Max apparently insisted that he would take Kate home. The version of the story that she told didn't mention Kate trying to get an Uber, only that Max invited her in and she accepted. I asked her if she had ever suspected anything before and she told me that about a year ago, she went to meet Kate for coffee but found Max sitting with her when she arrived. Apparently Kate looked guilty, but when asked about it she said they just met by chance. Sarah, Max's sister, also reached out to me and I spoke to her too. She was angry with both Max and Kate and told me a similar story. Apparently her whole family are angry with Max and she had not spoken to Kate since she found out. She apologized on behalf of her idiot brother and said she had warned him to stay away from Kate since high school. She didn't think anything else had happened between them. I have had zero contact from Kate but heard that she was going to be moving into an Airbnb near our house. Apparently she is not coping well and called in sick from work a few times over the last few weeks. She does have support from the friend she is currently living with and I asked her parents to keep an eye on her. Her parents came up to see her this past weekend. I went out with some friends at the weekend and ended up drunk at a bar. I was talking to a girl there who I probably could have gone home with, but I stopped myself because I wanted to keep my self-respect. Reading the email and hearing what they had done made me give up hope of repairing this, especially when I know she is not being truthful with me on other things, so who knows. I will be moving ahead with the divorce and might not even wait a month before telling Kate that this is my final decision. Relevant comments. You made the right decision to divorce her and move on. It's hard to trust a person again once they betrayed your love and trust, especially when it comes from that one person who promised to love and cherish you for life. See a therapist to heal yourself and move on. Stay a single for a while before you get into another relationship. It will take time to heal properly, so take your time to enjoy your single life. Wish you a speedy healing and all the best. Thanks, you are right that the trust is gone and I just don't have the energy to try and build it back up. I doubt I will ever trust her again either way. Planning to stay single for the foreseeable future. Just out of curiosity, what do you mean about other things she's not being truthful about? Her story of how she went from his car to apartment then to bed doesn't add up at all. OP, you could approach Max, if you feel able, and bluff that Kate has come clean and you know everything, and then ask him for his side of the story and see if you more information from him. You see, the thing is, it's not worth the energy. Sadly, I've been where OP is. He knows that his wife betrayed him, F someone else, and when the chips were down she lied. That's enough for him to make his choices. The rest is just more bad information that will clog his mind for years to come. He knows she's a cheater, and that more than enough information to act. This is exactly my thoughts. I've had a few people suggest digging further, but there is really no point. She betrayed my trust and showed me that our morals and values are not aligned. No amount of additional info or evidence will change that. Story 2. My sister hooked up with my fiance. My whole family cut her off, and she came crawling back after they lost everything. I never saw it coming. My sister, my own flesh and blood, betraying me in the worst possible way. I had been with my fiancé for years, planning our future together, when I found out about their affair. I was devastated, heartbroken, and couldn't believe that she would do something like this to me. My family was just as shocked and hurt as I was. They couldn't believe that my sister would stoop so low, and they immediately cut her off. She was no longer welcome in our home or in our lives. My fiancé and I tried to move on, but the betrayal was too much, and our relationship eventually ended. I thought that was the last I would hear from my sister, but I was wrong. After years of estrangement, she came crawling back. She had lost everything and had nowhere else to turn. She begged for my forgiveness and asked for a second chance. I didn't know what to do. On one hand, I wanted to hold on to my anger and hurt. I didn't want to let her back into my life after what she had done. But on the other hand, I knew that forgiveness was the right thing to do. I couldn't hold on to my anger forever, and I didn't want to carry around the weight of resentment. In the end, I decided to forgive her. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was the right thing to do. We started rebuilding our relationship, slowly but surely. It wasn't the same as it was before, but it was a start. And I was grateful for the opportunity to have my sister back in my life, even if it was under different circumstances. The whole experience taught me the importance of forgiveness and the power of second chances. It reminded me that even when someone hurts us, they are still worthy of love and compassion. And it showed me that even in the darkest moments, there is always a chance for healing and reconciliation. Also, thank you guys for the ideas, they worked. Update: it's been a couple of days since my sister broke my heart and shattered my trust. Despite my initial forgiveness, the wounds she inflicted still lingered deep within me. She disappeared from my life once more, and I chose to move on, focusing on my own well-being and the happiness I found in a new relationship. But as fate would have it, she returned once again. Her appearance unannounced and unwelcome. The sight of her sent shivers down my spine. Memories of her betrayal flooding back with an intensity that took my breath away. "You have some nerve," I hissed, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "You destroyed my life once, and now you have the audacity to come back." Her eyes pleaded with me, her voice soft and remorseful. "I'm sorry, Alex. I know I've made terrible mistakes, but please give me another chance. I've lost everything, and I have nowhere else to go." In that moment, I felt a surge of pity for her. I knew she was desperate, but I couldn't bring myself to trust her again. The pain she caused me was too deep. "No, Helen," I said, my voice firm. "This is the last time. I cannot and will not forgive you again. You've broken my trust too many times." Her face crumpled in defeat as I turned away, determined to close this chapter of my life once and for all. After spending a couple of days rebuilding myself after her betrayal, I refused to let her destroy me again. As I walked away, I could hear her sobs echoing behind me. But this time, I hardened my heart, knowing she made her choices and now had to live with the consequences. I would never forget the pain she caused me, but I wouldn't let it define me. Instead, I would continue to move forward, cherishing the people who truly loved and cared for me. And I would never allow anyone, not even my own sister, to take my happiness away. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you really like our videos, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.